All right. The topic of today's talk is Withering of Banking with Fintech Revolution. I'm going to talk instead about how existing retail and commercial banks can weather the Fintech revolution on a proactive basis. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called CORTEX. We have two businesses. One is an investments business focused on providing access to high-performance asset classes that typically are reserved for a select number of investors, including venture capital, private equity, quantitative strategies. We have some smart cities funds that we're launching and a space technology strategy. So we're really trying to broaden access to private markets. We also have an investment banking business focused on capital raising, company and fund secondaries, mergers and acquisitions, and are planning to develop marketplace technology around these types of transactions. So taking a look at the Fintech revolution, the first question to ask is really what are the areas of disruption? And we're going to look at some areas outlined by KPMG that will have the largest impact on the bank-customer relationship by 2030. The first one being artificial intelligence and machine learning. The second one being distributed ledger technology and blockchain. We have biometrics, 5G, cloud computing, Internet of Things, augmented reality, and quantum computing. So then the next step is taking a look at what the impact of these technologies is projected to be. First of all, everything and everyone will be connected. Every engagement point of our lives will become a service. AI will power mass personalization. We'll have highly automated systems that will instill trust with the customer. Products and services will be consolidated into one platform, like a super app. Customers will be paying for products and services as part of an automated process, and digital currencies will go from emerging currencies to mainstream currencies. And finally, cybersecurity will be powered by artificial intelligence to protect data. So currently, the banking industry trades at a massive discount to other industries in the public markets because some of these concerns around fintech disruption have investors worried that these large financial organizations are not going to be able to sustain the newer innovations that are entering the market. And so if we look at a study here done by SNL Financial, this includes over 10,000 financial institutions. You can see that banking consistently has traded at a significant discount. So the point of showing you this is that if these financial institutions are able to prove that they have strategies in place to overcome this disruption, there's a tremendous amount of value that can be unlocked for existing shareholders. So I'm going to focus on two aspects today. One is how to build a competitive market position by increasing productivity and market share. The second one is actually balancing online and offline channels for the ideal customer experience. Retail and corporate banking actually make up in terms of the share of revenue in global financial services organizations, the majority of overall revenue. As you can see here, compared to investment banking, market infrastructure, wealth and asset management, corporate and commercial banking, retail banking alone make up 31%, 35% of the overall top line. So the impact of a strategic response to these new innovations is not trivial. So now taking a look at, first of all, how to lower a cost base to increase margins. Lowering costs really means shifting to a leaner and more productive infrastructure. It means automating infrastructure processes and lower value-added services, aligning technology to scale with demand, internalizing third-party functions and reducing third-party spend, reducing the real estate footprint, which means closing branches most likely, and moving to minimum viable central functions. And with a lower cost base, in order to sustain the same level of margin, they're actually in a position now to compete on price more effectively. So you can offer higher deposit rates, you can offer lower or no ATM fees, offer expanded advisory and complex service offerings, and innovative loan advisory products. Talking a little bit about what customers are demanding from banks. Number one, this is a study done by KPMG. They want lifestyle integration. They expect their banks to know them. They expect functionality to be automated and intuitive. They want to spend minimal time and effort doing things, figuring things out. They want context and sensitivity, so they expect that banks understand their needs and respond to them effectively. They expect these organizations to be proactive and forward-thinking. Banks will need to anticipate what the customer needs and to deliver on them, on those needs, and to provide a level of security that inspires trust. And finally, to actually work toward resolution, to be proactive in demonstrating accountability. This is an interesting matrix that I found, which outlines different technologies in the context of a customer's degree of perceived knowledge versus their desire for control. We find that people who want low control and have low knowledge want their lives to be automated. People who want a high degree of control and have low knowledge want their lives to be aggregated so that they can basically just choose from a list of available options. People who want high control and have high knowledge want their lives to be orchestrated. And people who want low control and have high knowledge want their lives to be validated. Now, talking a little bit about what the level of physical presence might be necessary in the future, what most studies show is that omnichannel is really the key to delivering an optimal customer experience. So it's really integrating the real into the digital and the digital into the real at the same time. So the first step is really understanding for which functions the on-site presence is critical, eliminating non-critical aspects that might contribute to a large cost base, and figuring out which aspects of relationship management are actually critical to maintaining and growing the customer base. And we find that customers are actually more likely to bank at a branch if digital technology and the digital experience is integrated within the branch and the on-site experience. And similarly, that customers who bank online would like to know that there is a relationship manager there to back up the technology, and that they're not only dealing with the technology. So it's important to anticipate customer workflows and seamlessly integrate remote assistance. Finally, traditional channels should continue to be used to handle complex and advisory services. There have been several disruptions, of course, in the area of investment management, providing automated robo advisory, services, and ultimately, while I think some of these services are very effective and have proven successful in managing customer financial needs, I think that one area where traditional retail and commercial banks can still outperform is in actually addressing more complex situations. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Maybe. All right, can you hear me now? Are you following the QFS, the quantum financial system? Are you familiar with it at all?
I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
Question. How do you see banking 10 years from now, given the model that you showed there? Is it trending that way? Do you see changes in the future coming as we automate? And the relationship you mentioned regarding the backup, people prefer to have some form of contact with a banker.
I think 10 years from now, the major investment banks, retail and commercial banks will have responded and upgraded their technology or will have lost significant market share. And I think the likely adaptation is to merge the digital experience with the relationship management aspect in a more effective manner. And I think similarly, a lot of the digital banks, and I've used several of them, will have to integrate more of a relationship management component into their operations in order to compete with the existing financial institutions. And these are very complex businesses that are critical to the infrastructure of society. There's an immense amount of regulation involved. There's an immense amount of security concerns, and so I think ultimately customers, even if the technology is so seamless that it really fulfills all the functions that it's supposed to fulfill, I think they will feel more secure if they know that it's backed up by the resources of a large financial institution, or at least an organization that has dedicated a certain amount of human resources to actually managing the technology and providing relationship management if necessary.
Good morning. My name is Ken Burnett. I'm the CFO, Chief Business Development Officer, and founder of Litter Hero. I have a quick question. It sounds like you all are doing great work within the space of revolutionizing the banking industry. And I was just wondering, has your business taken into account the social, the economic impact of digitizing the banking industry on the racial wealth gap? And does your business include any social pillars that, prioritize the social impact and improving the social impact of banking services to disadvantaged folks?
Well, first of all, I should say that my business is not directly involved in commercial and retail banking. I was asked to give this talk because the person who was originally scheduled to deliver it couldn't make it. That being said, my business is involved fairly heavily in the development of ESG and ESG frameworks, and we think a lot about diversity, inclusion, governance, social responsibility going forward. And what I think is important for any organization, whether it's in fintech or otherwise going forward in order to be competitive, is to be thinking about these things and to have frameworks in place that address various aspects of social responsibility, of environmental sustainability, and it will inevitably become a competitive differentiator, and it won't just be something that is required because it's popular to do so, or because there's demand for it.
Good morning. I have a question regarding cryptocurrency. The reality is cryptocurrency is obviously growing and growing larger and larger and scaling at an unbelievable rate. It is, even though many of us don't still grasp the reach of crypto yet, now the United States is looking at creating a digital coin. Not only the U.S., but many other governments already, on the works on creating these type of currencies that are digital to explore the opportunity of being a lot more efficient in the way that money is reached to their population. Now, my question is, a lot of the, a lot of the pullback on creating this federal crypto or digital coin comes from banking, from conventional banking, because they believe that crypto would come in and replace them instead of working with them. So I guess my question comes, and do you feel that maybe a digital coin will come and integrate into the banking conventional system, or do you see it more like a Netflix Blockbuster kind of situation, where Blockbuster was so strong until it wasn't, and it was absolutely totally replaced by Netflix, Hulu, and other type of platforms?
I think I'm not an expert on crypto. I do think that ultimately some form of digital currency will become prevalent. I think what's important is that it is backed up somehow by a fundamental store of value, whether that be the US dollar or something like gold. I think the problem with current cryptos and why they have not been able to really penetrate the financial system in terms of becoming mainstream currency is that they fundamentally don't have any value, and so it's very difficult to have faith in that as a primary medium of exchange and store of value. I think if that can be addressed, then the aspects that the technology, the aspects that make cryptos so attractive, namely the distributed ledger technology, the decentralized nature, I think will make them highly competitive. I think what would be a good place to start is to look at why Facebook was not successful in creating their coin and where they failed. I think they were probably in the best position to create a competitive currency, and they clearly were not able to succeed. I think the U.S. government may be able to deliver something that works. I think an international organization like the IMF might be able to deliver something that works, but ultimately, I think the key requirement is really to create some sort of fundamental backing of the currency. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, then thank you, everyone.